what's really happening in the real estate market right now in Southern California. I want to speak on Orange County, LA County, and San Diego County. Now, these are areas that I personally cater to. I do have a real estate brokerage here in Orange County. I have about 12 agents that work for me, including myself, which actually love to represent both the buyers and the sellers. Now, this is something that I get questions asked from both sellers and buyers on what I think about how the market's doing and whether it's a good time to buy or is it a good time to sell. I always like to give factual numbers and kind of paint the picture for people out there who are considering to potentially buy or sell in 2026, to kind of have this as an outline on what to roughly see will be potentially coming up in the market. So I'm going to read some numbers for you guys for the moment so you kind of have an idea where things are right now. For example, in Orange County, as of fall, homes here are taking roughly one month to go under contract. Zillow is showing about 28 days, depending for county overall, and local MLS snapshots put the median days on market around 33 days, which is up significantly from last year. It was I believe under 30 days last year, and now it's above 30. For anybody who's in Orange County in the real estate industry knows that that's quite a bit higher. What we're seeing as far as the prices goes is that about 30% of the sales are still closing above asking price, but roughly 57% are actually selling under the list price. So this is something that what a lot of people don't realize was that, or sellers in particular in this scenario, that whole bidding era of 2021 at least in Orange County is no longer there. It's very scarce, far and frequent when you see it in some areas that kind of back up into LA County. You might see a little bit of those in single family homes around 1 million or 1.1 million, but most cases homes are actually selling at asking, or probably around, was it 98 or 99% of the original asking price. So it's really coming down to sellers really understanding that it needs to be their homes need to be priced correctly to actually sell in this market, versus anything else that they're like, oh, but I was hoping the trend would have taken the price in this direction or this direction. It's just coming to understanding the reality of what today's market looks like. And LA in relevance, so it says over in Los Angeles County, Zillow has a median days pending around 29 days. Again, roughly a month to get contract in place. On price, LA County's median sell to list ratio is around 100%, basically selling at asking, with about 40% of the homes closing above list price and 47 selling under list. This is interesting because LA was always big on, oh, is the pricing off or it's on? It's actually the sellers seem to be a lot more sound in LA County. They're like, look, I understand I need to sell the property, so they're pricing it correctly, because the market in LA was much weaker over the last year. Orange County has been significantly stronger, so sellers are assuming that it's going to just continue, but they're the ones that are now taking a bit of a hit on there. But now, if you zoom in into a city of LA specifically, Redfin shows an average of about 62 days on market to close, up from a low 50s last year, which it just confirms things are moving slower than peak here. Now, remember, this is days on market versus how long it takes for it to actually close. It's just the process of if a buyer is potentially financing and all that entails with the process of actually closing a home. San Diego's a little bit different. San Diego's kind of its own little bubble, but I like to point it out because we kind of rub shoulders with San Diego, and I've had a few transactions there. I know some of my agents do function in that area. I still like to use it as a reference. So San Diego is running at almost the same pace. Zillow shows about 30 days to pending, so roughly 1 month to get into escrow on average. Price-wise, it's a touch softer. The median sale to list ratio is roughly 99.3%. with about 31 to 32% of the sales over list price and about 55 selling under list. So once again, it's showing quite a bit. It's just coming down to where the asking price is and pricing it correctly. And like, for example, in the city of San Diego, Redfin has an average home selling after about 41 days on the market, up from around a month last year. San Diego's still strong, but buyers have some breathing room to negotiate. So what does this mean? Like, I mean, these are just numbers. I just wanted to read out the numbers, but it doesn't quite put like a finger on the pulse on what like buyers are feeling and what the sellers are feeling in the market. So here's the reality of what it is. It is still not a buyer's market. This is actually still considered somewhat of a seller's market. It's just not the bidding market that it was maybe 4 years ago. And sellers are going to need to understand that the way they price their home, if they're actually looking to sell it, is the most important thing, because no one wants to have their home sit on the market excessively and then they start questioning, saying, is it my agent? Is there something wrong with my home? My home is so pretty, it's so nice, it's $2-3 million. And the average homes that we generally cater to, of myself, is somewhere in that 1.8 to about 3.5 range. So I kind of know when I'm speaking with my clients, there's a little bit of that, pride in ownership, and I don't blame them. But the reality is that trend of the year over year increase in the percentage of their equity hasn't spiked the way it has in the last year. And on the other hand, the buyers are looking for a deal. Now, this is where it gets a little challenging, and there's the gray area. The buyers hear that the rates are higher, but then they start negotiating drastically below the asking, and that's where there becomes this kind of tug situation. Sellers don't necessarily need to sell right now. They have quite a lot of equity. I mean, I'm not saying no seller needs to sell. They're far and frequent where you see a desperate sell or like a short sale or something where it's a dire situation and they need to move the property. But I'm finding that being in the area that I'm catering to, it's more like a standoff. If it's priced right, there's going to be a buyer for it. Buyers can kind of look around and see homes that have been sitting on the market for a little bit just to get a tad bit more of negotiation room. But sellers are accommodating. They're accommodating when buyers want a rate buy down program where the seller will essentially contribute towards the first year or two or three towards buying down some of that interest rate to make it easier for the buyer, or just outright discounting the price of the home. But we're not talking like 10% below asking. And if you do see those, that's because the seller, unfortunately mispriced the home. And we do see these, and I don't blame agents. There's agents that are desperate to get a deal and they want to get a listing and just put a home on the market. They'll just agree to what the seller is seeking as far as an asking price, and might not properly guide them how the market is doing right now. They're like, you know what, I know I've done the comps on this home, and it should be around 1.4 million for this 4-bedroom home in Aliso Viejo, California. But then the seller's like, I want to get 1.55, and that's about 150,000 deficit from where the comps are going to be, or where we're going to see the immediate comps. Now, it could be a little bit different about a year ago, or maybe 6 months ago, but that's how the trend has been. So if that home sits on the market for 50 or 60 days, that's where it's going to have that drastic discount because it was mispriced from the beginning. So I like to educate the buyers so they understand that if you are hunting for a deal, like meaning you're like, hey, I just want to get an absolute steal of a deal, look at the homes that have been sitting on the market for an excessive amount of time, because there's either most cases it's the price isn't it's priced incorrectly. In some cases there's a little bit of tenant occupied situation. There might be some issues with the property itself. There's quite a lot of other things that could potentially factor into why it's been sitting there, but in most cases it's absolutely price related. So and I know a lot of the things that are going on right now, and once again, I'm only speaking specific to the market that I'm catering to. You could be in a different state or a different area in California, and the market could be thriving in a different way, or it could completely be down where you're like, oh my gosh, no, all the homes are sitting on the market for X amount of times, prices are dropping, so and so. So this is specific to this, but then this kind of paints the big picture, because the demographic I'm looking at here, and this would be good for you guys to know. For example, where I reside in Orange County, on average, to be able to buy, for example, where as a single family residence sits at around 1.2 million, you have to make household income roughly around $370,000. Now, this could sound like insane amount of money for someone in a different state, but this is very common for two professionals that work, let's say, for example, in the tech field. But the difference is their buying power has significantly changed from what it was 2 years ago. 3 years ago, 2 years ago, they could have probably pulled getting a property around 1.6, 1.7, and now it's around 1.2, 1.1 to maybe 1.3. But the problem is that's the entry level for a single family residence. So they went from a potential turnkey home, more square footage, potentially with a pool, maybe a view, now going to a starter single family home that probably now needs around $50,000 to $100,000 in renovation. So there's that little, hey, what the heck? I'm going to be spending $10,000 to $12,000 a month in mortgage. Look at the crap I'm going to have to take on and take care of. So the way I see it is, I always like to educate buyers in the scenarios like, hey, what's the purpose of this purchase? Are you looking for something you're going to be in there for 7 to 10 years? You shouldn't nitpick too much on the pricing as much as is if the home fits what you're looking for, because you're going to probably get a decent deal now. No, the rates are not going to be pretty. Yes, the rates were better in the past. I can't guarantee where the rates are going. No other agent or lender is going to be able to tell you that. They all want to tell you something. They'll say, oh, things are going to be great and refinance. But the reality is, all BS aside, in all likelihood, you have the option to refinance as you choose to do so down the road when the rates become a little bit more appealing. But you could potentially get in a home at this moment with a decent deal in tail end of 2025. Now, we're just a few weeks away from starting 2026. How I see 2026 going is, there has been a lot of sellers that I'll kind of speak on a few scenarios that I've been dealing with. I've about 3 listings. One's about 2.25 million, one's 2.745 million, and the other one's 1.28 million dollars. All three, two are primary residence, one is an investment property. They did not need to sell it. One of them owns it outright cash. The other one only owes like 700,000, and the last one, if I'm not mistaken, was about 300 or 400,000. Now look at the common denominator. They have so much equity in the property. They're not just trying to burn their property. They're like, hey, if I'm not moving it at the price that I find fit, we'll just recircle back and put it back on the market at a different time. So I'm having active conversations and productive conversations with these particular clients, saying, hey, you know what? January, probably tail end of January and February would be a good time to go in, because that's when I'm seeing more inventory probably making its way into the market, and more buyers, as far as psychological goes, are going to say, okay, now's the time to get back in the market. Now's the time where I want to commit to searching for a home. Whereas what I'm telling buyers right now, I have a couple of buyers that I'm working with at this moment. We are actively negotiating on a few properties, one in Beverly Hills, and I believe one is in San Clemente, and both we're getting a decent discount on the price, just solely because of the time we're in. But more importantly, we specifically picked the homes that obviously fit what my clients were looking for, but also homes that were mispriced, had room for negotiation, and they're also getting some accommodations towards their financing. So this is something good to know for buyers. For sellers, I think I go on listing appointments myself. I go on listing appointments with my teammates, my agents. I always tell them, don't be the guy that goes in, or the girl that goes in and just blows everybody else's numbers out of the water, saying, I'm going to come in and sell your home $200K over the second person what they offered you. I rather go in and be as transparent as possible, as honest as possible, and in most cases, not necessarily win the listing, just to sit there and then for them to have a conversation with me saying, hey, how come this property is not moving, versus saying, hey, you know what? Let's have a reality check. What's the reasoning for your sale of the property right now? If it's a situation you're relocating, or it's a some sort of there's separations, there's new jobs situations where they're going to move out of state, move out of town. There are certain things, or like a separation where in most cases it's not pretty, it's not fun, but everybody's a little stressed out, but they want to get out of there. So those are those scenarios where you see sometimes prices get a little in the gray area. But then if someone doesn't necessarily need to sell, and that's what I asked them, I was like, look, do you need to move your money into another property right away? If this gets delayed for a couple of months, how does that impact your personal life? How does it impact your professional life? Once I get a better picture of what that looks like, that lets me know how I'm going to be able to help this person. So this is also a good conversation I encourage when we have our buyer consultations, like, what is the buyer looking to achieve? Now, if the buyers are they're uncertain about the market, they have income, they have good credit, they have a pre-approval, but they don't know where the market is going. The market, there's not a lot of inventory. Once again, this is specific to Southern California. There's not a lot of inventory. Yes, there has been a shakeup in the pricing, but the pricing has been placed incorrectly in most cases. But most of the homes are actually selling roughly around what the asking was, and maybe 1% or 2% below asking. And that's still pointing out that it's a healthy market. So are we going to head into a buyer's market? In all likelihood, no. We're probably going to lean into more of a active market where there's going to be a lot more inventory. There's going to be a lot more buyers feeling confident that they want to put their offers in there. But it's good to know how you could prepare yourself for what is to come in Q1 2026. So my goal is in particular on this channel to give you guys some monthly insights, maybe some bi-weekly insights if there's some major changes, like if there's going to be a potential rate drop. I know there's a conversation about one more towards the end of the year, but it's nothing that's going to move the needle. That's why I don't really like to bring it up. Even if it drops by a quarter point, it won't really impact what it's going to look like on the actual mortgage payments for the buyers. So it's really comes back to what the buyers feel, the confidence in the real estate market. So if you guys are here in Orange County and actually want some more specific numbers on whether it's your home or that you want to potentially put on the market, or if you're considering buying a property, either I or one of my team members could help you out, or I could just run some numbers for you and kind of give you an idea what you could expect. And I always like to be able to consult with people and kind of set the right expectations, whether it's their first purchase or if it's going to be something where they're going to be buying a larger home or kind of relocating or just changing their lifestyle. I do a lot of catering to investors. We do a lot of fix and flips. I do a lot of pickup on multi-units. We work a lot with numbers. Like that's a little bit of my unique selling proposition is I focus mostly on the numbers where I help my clients achieve the highest potential cap rate on their rental investment properties, or a pretty good after renovation value on a fix and flip scenario where they could buy a home on or off market and make a decent amount of money. So if that aligns with some of the stuff that you guys are having in mind, or even it's just like, hey, you know what, I want to buy a home and move into it in I don't know, in Mission Viejo, California, I'll be more than happy to help out. So we're here at the Season Millennial where we talk about tech, pop culture, real estate, business. Aside from a lot of the pop culture and the tech stuff and a lot of the things that are going on in that sphere, I also want to speak on this real estate stuff for you guys to understand that I could definitely give you a wide range of stuff as far as things that could potentially be helpful for you. So thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your guys' time on the channel. Please do leave some comments or a comment or anything which you think, or if there's something might be different maybe in your particular town, whether it's in California or if you're out of state. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you.